Hi, Michelle.
Hey Mel, happy Lunar New Year. Well, it's already Lunar New Year here in Australia, not quite in the US, but happy Lunar New Year to you, and much health and prosperity to you and your family in the year of the tiger.
Thank you. Yes, so close. It's February for you, but I'm in the last day of January here in the
Yep.
United States.
Yep. I always love travel when I can go through, I can go back a day when I go north. So I love it. I gain a day. Anyway, so a new day, a new month.
Yeah, let's talk about February in a career that soars. What are we focusing on this month?
What we're focusing on is, excuse me, what we're focusing on is mentoring now, but not the normal focus on mentoring, because I reckon there'd be a fair few of our listeners, our watchers, our followers, particularly if they're women, have been given career advice, which is get a mentor. And I usually go, oh my God, face palm eye roll when someone says to me, I've been told to get a mentor. I go, right, okay. Let's have a chat.
Yeah, and we've talked about this some on the podcast, but for those who haven't heard Lead to Soar yet, tell us a little bit more about that. So, that might be an important piece of advice, but it's definitely incomplete. So, give us your quick take on that.
Yeah, you're right. You've hit the nail on the head. It is an important piece of advice. Having a strategic mentor is certainly a great tool for a woman to have in her career toolkit. However, I emphasise the word strategic, and we want. Let me wind back and have a bit of a rant first. Women are over mentored and under promoted. So that's where I get very excited, because just getting a mentor in and of itself without without a goal, without being strategic about it, and without that mentor really being invested in that woman's career. Please don't at me, because I know you're invested, but more will become apparent, is incomplete advice, and it does a disservice to women. And I can, if I was in a room of 1,000 women right now, I'd say put up your hand if you've ever had a mentor, and the vast majority of women would put up their hand. And I'd say my next question is, how many of those mentors got you promoted or got you a new job? The hands often come down really rapidly, and yes, there will be some that remain in the air, and those are the ones I go, right, now I want to understand what the difference is between your mentoring relationship and the women who put their hand down. And often it's because it's been strategic, and that mentor has become a sponsor. In other words, they're that person who's in the room when you're not there, advocating for you, thumping the fist on the table for you, as Carla Harris says in her TED talk, and really helping you to meet your career goals. But it all starts with having a goal, and being very, very clear about it. So we want to bust the myths about mentoring and about the conventional advice given to women about mentoring this month in A Career That Soars.
And Susan actually wrote a book kind of diving into this called Make the Most of Mentoring. And that's also the name of one of our flagship courses inside A Career That Soars. And she draws out this distinction using two different acronyms for mentoring. So one is pie, one is cake. So give us the breakdown. What do these acronyms mean, and where do they fall on each side of this sort of types of mentorship?
Thanks, Mel. And a big shout out to Paula White, who's watching us live on LinkedIn. Thank you, Paula. She's one of our amazing champions. And congratulations on your book launch, Paula. So pie and cake. So first of all, cake. Cake is what we call conventional, the conventional wisdom and the conventional mentoring that more women than men receive. And it's typically, I guess that the distinction between the two, without going into the detail, because that's what our members get, is if you want support and encouragement and compassion and kindness and encouragement, that's great. That's nice, and that's cake mentoring. But if you want mentoring that's going to help you improve your, understand how the business of the business. So understanding how the performance of the business is measured, how you enhance your image as a leader through your executive presence, and we've done a Lead to Soar episode on executive presence and what that is. How you can get exposure to decision making and decision makers. That's pie mentoring, and it's strategic. So it is actually someone who's helping you get ready for that next role, to lead at the next level, whatever level next and level means for you. But they're also giving you access to a whole bunch of things, including putting their own social and political capital up front or on the line for you. So that's a very broad version, and we're going to break down cake and pie in A Career That Soars this month and really help our members. So we've got a workshop and various other things, but really help them understand, if they get the career advice, hey, Mel, you need to get a mentor, what they can do about that.
Okay, so if we have any folks out there who are not a part of A Career That Soars yet, this is a great time to join. If you think that strategic mentoring, and that includes sponsorship, like Michelle is talking about, this is a good time to join us inside A Career That Soars and be a part of these discussions and workshops. So you can find us and join at acareerthatsoars.com. Michelle, let's leave our viewers and listeners here today with some other kind of takeaway. So, what's something else that you want our women listeners to know about the importance of strategic mentorship?
Well, interestingly enough, Paula's just put a question into the chat feed to say, is it better to have a mentor inside or outside your organisation, or mentor someone inside or outside? Both are great, but it's strategic when it's aligned to a goal.
Yeah.
So what is your goal? So if anecdotally, my mentors, my strategic mentors, shifted in later in my career, particularly when I started to have board roles. And certainly one of my great mentors, Denise Pitt, CEO of Swinburne Online. Hello, hi Denise. She is one of my strategic mentors. So she is someone who advocates for me when I'm not in the room, but I learn so much from her. But she's clear about my goals. So goals. What's your goal? And that's got to dictate what you do.
Right. I want to corroborate that, because this came up in that thread where we were talking about there was that article of sort of the bad advice women get and breaking that down or whatever. And so they were talking about mentorship as one of those. And I guess I just will add, tying that back to goals. So in the world that I work in, if you're an engineer, you definitely need an internal mentor, because you need people who are helping you develop as a technical professional. But I'll also say an experience I had earlier in my career is I had an external mentor. I was connected to her through a trade organization, through one of their virtual mentorship programs. And she ended up being the person who helped me get my next role. And there's just no way I would have been connected to the people that she introduced me to if I hadn't come to know her through this mentorship program. And her name was Chris. So thanks, Chris.
Isn't it nice to be able to give someone a shout out who's made such a difference in your life? And I think that's a really, and a really important thing. And I think another point that I'd make, Mel, before we wrap up, is mentoring is a two-way relationship. And there is, for those of you who might be thinking, wow, I'd really like, XYZ as my mentor, but I'm not quite sure. We teach you how to ask that person and how to honour their, who they are and what they're going to give to you. But we also help mentors understand how rich this experience is when it's done strategically, and how rewarding it can be and mutually beneficial. So, but part of the, we have a mentee a mentee commitment that we share. So this is the stuff that we want mentees or proteges to say, this is my commitment to this relationship. And part of that is really honouring that mentor, not slavishly, but honouring their time, their wisdom, and of course what they're doing for you. So there's a lot of and learning how to thank them as well. So because often, I don't think we stop, breathe and reflect on the people that have made a difference for us and openly and publicly thank them. So good. There you go. Anyway.
I love it. Okay, so join us inside A Career That Soars. You can also hear a little bit more in season 1 of the Lead to Soar podcast. We've got a couple episodes there on mentorship. And then I want to tag on something else I'm excited about. Let me grab this book.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got an interview lined up with Molly Beck. This is so exciting for me. She's the author of Reach Out. So she and I are going to be talking about strategic networking, and the mentorship is, of course, an aspect of that, finding the right people to help you on your career journey. So looking forward to recording that. That will come out at some point in season 4 when that gets started. So tune into that, and you can find our podcast at leadtosoar.com.
I am looking forward to hearing that, because that, well, I always say picking my favourite topic in all of the work that we do is a bit like trying to choose your favourite child, but strategic networking I do is probably one of my favourites.
Yeah, me too. Awesome.
All righty. Thanks for tuning in, Paula, and thanks for everyone else who's watching either live or later on. And we'd love to see you. If you identify as a woman, if you're ambitious and you want to have a career that soars, we want to see you over at A Career That Soars. It's just $145 US a year to join. So it's very, very cost effective.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle. We'll
See you,
all
Mel.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.